Hey everyone, and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. Dark Iron Dwarves are going to be coming to World of Warcraft at some point in the next expansion, and when they do, they'll be joining the Santalari Trolls, the Makar Orcs, and the Kultiran Humans as one of the 4 post-launch allied races, which will actually bring the allied race count up to 8. Which is as many races as the game actually shipped with in the beginning. Now, after seeing the Santalari, many were a little bit worried that the Alliance pretty much, we get upgraded Draenei, a different tint of elf, and some rather angry-looking dwarves. Well, the good news is that upon further inspection, these guys are metal as hell, and they manage to be a little bit more than just a simple reskin. So, let's kick things off by talking about their customization options. Both the males and the females have new hairstyles. Hairstyles that are, having your hair on fire, that certainly is a look. It's a bold-fashioned move. The attention to detail here, getting down to it though, is great. There's lots of smouldering, like little embers. It definitely makes them feel quite apart from their bronze-beard dwarf cousins that we know today. Recently on the alpha, they received tattoo options, which again further helps to set them apart. So let's just go through all of their currently available customization options. So that's what you'll have to play with when it comes to their customization options. Now, the inclusion of these guys really does make you wonder how long it's going to take for us to get Wildhammer Dwarves. The Horde have 2 types of elves, they've got 2 types of trolls, 2 types of Tauren, and now 2 types of orcs. Well, the Alliance, we've got 2 types of elves, we've got 2 types of dwarves now. Really having 3 types of dwarves isn't completely inconceivable. One thing that they could do is actually rename this Dwarf Clans rather than Dark Iron Dwarves and allow people to pick either a Wildhammer or a Dark Iron. I think that would be pretty cool. I think for many people having perhaps a Wildhammer Griffin would be a pretty cool little thing to have. That, of course, though, does lead us onto the topic, naturally, of racial mounts. So we've got quite a few things to talk about here. First, they have a data mined core hound mount, and then we have 2 dwarf paladin mounts that have also been data mined. And yeah, these are pretty crazy. I just love how the core hound, it's not the existing core hound, it's actually like a different shape, so they put a little bit more effort in there than they needed to, which is great. And pretty much the perfect mount for the Dark Iron Dwarves, obviously. Then, as for these dwarf paladin mounts, yeah, I've got no idea how we get it, but I definitely want one because they look wonderful. Now, as much as it's fine to take a look at these guys when they don't have gear on, where, we can see their tattoos, it very much is worth looking at them fully geared up as you'll be playing them in the game. I'm sure there are many Lightforged Draenei players who quickly realize that most of their body tattoos didn't really count for much as soon as they geared up. So, to inspect what this looks like, let's head over into a gear preview. Alright, so that's most of it for the Dark Iron Dwarves. This group really has some interesting lore though, and I want to cover that here. So they're pretty much the most grumbly of the dwarves. Their worst times came during the rule of Thessarian, who attempted to seize Ironforge from the Bronzebeards. This of course didn't go too well, and the ensuing War of the Three Hammers was pretty much a general disaster for dwarf kind. The Dark Irons attempted a two-pronged attack with Thessarian attacking Ironforge and Modgood, his wife, attacking the Wildhammer at Grim Batol. Both battles went pretty badly for the Dark Iron though, with Modgood getting herself killed. Thessarian eventually summoned in Ragnaros, which of course led to his death. Generally speaking, Fire Lords don't make great allies. Anyway, the remaining Dark Irons were enslaved by Ragnaros until his banishment during Vanilla. Then the Dark Irons sort of transitioned back into the fold, but it's a bit strange. So, Magni Bronzebeard had a daughter, but he didn't think that woman could lead effectively, and he was pretty salty about this because he had no sons, so he wasn't a very attentive father. So, Moira Bronzebeard, his daughter, she was later captured by the Dark Irons. Their leader was kind to her, and she ended up falling in love with and marrying him, and then also being a trusted advisor, which honestly sounds like a plot written by people who don't know how people work. I mean, really, that comes off as best as her having a survival mechanism, at worst maybe a Stockholm Syndrome situation. But anyway, players eventually kill her husband, and she was reportedly quite torn up over the whole thing. Later on, during the Cataclysm, Magni accidentally turned himself into a pebble, as we all know, and Moira, now called Moira Thessarian, turned up at Ironforge. After a bit of tense talking, the Council of the Three Hammers was formed, and Moira has since proved herself to be a pretty damn good ally. Now, I tend to read her story as being someone who was kind of, made harsh and sort of cunning by her upbringing, and then she sort of cleverly inserted herself into mainstream dwarf politics. She does have a son. I'd be interested to see if politically he has any role to play. But anyhow, that's a super quick summary of what's sort of up with the Dark Irons. Basically, they are our friends now. As for the story that actually allows us to play them in the Allied Race Unlock scenario, we've got no idea. But there you go, a pretty damn metal bunch of dwarves that will certainly make for, some, very metal-looking transmogs, I suppose. But that's it for this video. A massive thank you to everyone over on Patreon who have been supporting the channel tremendously over the last while. Over there, you can get early access to non-news content, as well as AMAs, behind-the-scenes vlogs, and a whole bunch of other stuff, so you can check that out down in the description. And of course, thank you to watching this video. And with all that said, I will see you next time.